Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a little dive into r/best of Redditor updates. There is people sleeping with so many people today. It might get a bit confusing, so lock in. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, so this one was posted by Direct Caterpillar 77, and the title is, I have slept with both of my best friends, and my boyfriend of 4 years is uncomfortable with that. Yes, I can see how that might happen. So Direct Caterpillar is not the original poster, they are the person who compiled it for us all together in a nice, neat place. The original poster is you/BF and best friends. So we have some trigger warnings for manipulation, shaming, and discussion of infidelity. And then mood spoiler, unexpectedly positive. Okay. Originally posted April 30th, 2015. I'll be breaking this up into sections just to keep it all in chronological order. You can scroll down to part 3 for the actual issue with my boyfriend, and I'll have a TLDR at the bottom because, man, this is gonna be long. That's what we like. Part 1, the background. Let me start right off with the problem. My 2 best friends in the world are male, and I've slept with both of them. It's not as bad as it seems, though. It's not like I have feelings for either of them. They're both childhood friends who I've known for years and years, so I love them both with all my heart, but the thought of being in a relationship with either of them is unfathomable. Fair enough. One of them, we'll call him Rob, is married now, but we had a brief relationship senior year of high school. We broke up after less than a year for several reasons. I wanted to travel abroad for university, he wanted kids, and I didn't. His mother didn't think I was a good fit for him, I know, but we still remained friends. The other, we'll call him John, is a bit more complicated. I would never date him because he has serious issues. I'm not seeing anywhere yet of how old the OP actually is, to know how long ago the Rob situation was. And it's not so much the issues that stop me from dating him, but the fact that he adamantly refuses any kind of help or therapy for them. He had some major childhood trauma that he's big time repressing, and it's affecting his ability to have a relationship. He's a bit of a womanizer. After I got back from university abroad, I was 23 and all alone, and I needed a place to live. His parents had moved out to a condo on the beach, and they let John live in their old house. And he offered me one of the spare bedrooms for very low rent. So we lived together for a while without incident. I dated a guy for like 2 years, and John had a constant stream of women in and out of his bedroom. But we discovered a system that worked for us, and we became closer than ever. The problem was, one night, about a year after I broke up with my ex, okay, so moved in with John when you were 23. We're in a relationship for 2 years. A year after that broke up, so we're now at 26. Okay. I'm really trying to figure out how old the OP is because I do think timescale from when these things to what the relationship they're in now does kind of matter. I will explain that when we get to it. We hung out in the house alone and got drunk together. We were both super horny and hooked up, and we had amazing sex, like really mind-blowing. I don't know if it was because I was drunk or because I'd only slept with 2 other people in my life who were both subpar. Rob and I were virgins and we only had sex twice before we broke up, and one of the main reasons I split with my other ex was sexual incompatibility. But either way, it was great and we didn't want to stop, so we kept hooking up for about 8 months, taking us close to 27, okay? At that point, one of his old exes came back into his life and he realised that he had feelings for her. We tried to stop hooking up, but quite frankly, we have no self-control. Okay, that's a concerning sentence. Okay, so I'm guessing this is supposed to say, I realised I was 29 and had a steady job and there was no reason I shouldn't move out. Clearly my math is not mathing somewhere because now we're at 29. So I left. We had one last night of sex the day before I moved out and agreed to never talk about it again. I hope that whilst you were doing the times when his ex came back on the scene and he realised he had feelings for her, I hope he wasn't dating her while you two were still carrying on, beneath the sheets, because that's disgusting. If you know that someone is seeing someone else, that is then on you to put a stop to it. No matter if they still want to try and keep going ahead with it, so you should put a stop to it. Part 2, the boyfriend. You can skip this section, I suppose. It just talks about how my boyfriend, who we'll call Sam, and I got together and outlined some of his insecurities and why this may be a problem for him. Well, I'm not sure why we would skip it. It seems quite important to the whole story, considering this is about why it may be a problem and that you slept with these dudes. Sam had been a long-time co-worker of mine. We started working together when I got my job at 26. He was 29 and getting divorced. He told me all about it as it was happening. He and his wife got married way too fast. She had just broken up with her ex, and 5 months into dating Sam, she discovered she was pregnant with her ex's child. He pressured Sam into marriage because she didn't want to be a single mum, and he agreed. Sam, no, mate, that's not your responsibility. You can imagine why this didn't work out, yes? Oh my goodness. Anyway, Sam and I became best friends in the workplace. He would tell me stories about his divorce. I would tell him embarrassing childhood stories about Rob and John. Oh, so he knew. He knew before getting into anything with you about Rob and John. Oh yeah, didn't I mention we all worked together? What? This is getting so convoluted. Rob and John are in different departments, but it's a pretty close-knit company, so he knew I had dated Rob in high school, but he never knew about me hooking up with John. When I told him I was moving out of John's house, he asked me why, and I just said that we were getting older and it was time for me to get my own place, which was absolutely true. That just happened to be the day that he confessed his long-time feelings for me, and we began to date. Okay, so if he doesn't know about John, yeah, I can see where the problems are going to come in here. Part 3, the problem. About a year ago, we decided to move in together. His lease was ending and I owned my house, so he moved into my place. He sometimes works really late nights, and on occasion I'll have Rob or John over to keep me company when he does. Last night he was meant to be working until 11 p.m. John was here and we were hanging out in the living room. It was about 10:30 p.m. and we were drinking a bit and talking kind of loudly. John mentioned to me that his girlfriend was always jealous, worried that he and I had feelings for each other. I said that was silly, and that just because two people have great sex doesn't mean they're in love. As I said, we were talking pretty loudly, so I guess Sam came in at some point and heard me say that. I didn't even hear him unlock the front door, but he stormed into the living room and confronted me, asking when John and I had had sex. He looked equal parts disappointed and angry. John left because he didn't want to be involved in our argument. I explained everything, told him John and I used to hook up when we lived together and that was part of the reason I moved out of his place, because it wasn't healthy for us to have that kind of relationship. It had been 4 years and we rarely ever spoke about it, and it hasn't affected our friendship at all. Okay, so 29 moved out, 4 years, so we're now on 33. Sam now tells me that he's uncomfortable with the fact that I have slept with both of the people I consider my best friends in the world. He's also uncomfortable with the fact that just a few days before he and I got together, I had had sex with John. He says it taints our entire relationship because I lied to him about it. I think he's being a bit puritanical about it. Of course, I have a sex past, and why does it matter if it was only a few days before, since it didn't mean anything? It's not like I had feelings for John, and we always used protection and frequently got tested. I told Sam that, so it's not like he's concerned about the health risks. He's just jealous, and he wants me to hang out with John less, and he doesn't feel comfortable with us drinking together at all. He also insists that I should make new friends and separate myself a bit from Rob and John, because it's weird that both of the people I'm closest with are people who have seen me naked. I think he's just being unreasonable. John and I are both in relationships and we have no feelings for each other whatsoever. The fact that we hooked up with each other for a while is something that we want to leave in the past, and to bring Rob into it is just ridiculous. It's been 15 years since we had anything to do with each other romantically, and he's now married with kids. I think Sam just wants to punish me or something because he's weirdly jealous. I honestly don't know what to make of this situation. TLDR, Rob and John, my two best friends in the world, are male and I've slept with both of them. I was with Rob like 15 years ago and we broke up. John and I had a friends with benefits situation and the last time we hooked up was a few days before I started dating my current boyfriend Sam. Sam just found out about John and thinks it's weird that I'm still so close with the people that I've had sex with. Is he in the right? Should I reduce my contact with Rob and John and try to make new friends, or is Sam being unreasonable? Right, okay, so do I think we should punish partners for people they've had sexual relations with in the past? No. It was in the past, it was before you, that is none of your business. Do I understand where Sam's coming from to a degree? Yes. The reason for that is it was extremely recent to when they got together. Literally a few days before. Sam is probably struggling to understand how you can have sex with someone without there being feelings involved, because for a lot of people they need feelings involved to be able to do that, you know. Sam is probably one of them. Sam is probably one of those people that needs to have a romantic feeling towards someone to be able to be intimate with them. So he's probably thinking, well, if you were doing that with him 2 days before we got together, you obviously still liked him when we got together. Sam is also probably reeling over the fact that the OP was not honest. The OP didn't tell him about it. And considering they worked together, OP told them about Rob, told them a lot. It feels like it was purposefully omitted information then, doesn't it? And Sam probably feels betrayed by that. So as much as I don't think the OP is wrong for sleeping with her two best friends, you know, different strokes for different folks and whatever, I do understand why Sam is getting his back up. And also, yeah, it's a little awkward when you have to very often see two people that have bedded your missus. Basically, it's a bit awkward for Sam, I imagine. That's not exactly a regular occurrence, is it, where you'd have to hang out frequently with two people that you know have swung from the chandelier with your girlfriend. Not that, again, I don't think that it's something that realistically should matter, but I get why it's awkward for Sam. And adding in the whole thing that it all feels like a big secret kept from him, I think that's what has him feeling betrayed the most, and now he's being reactive due to that feeling. Anyway, relevant comments. Deleted user says, you wanted to see his point of view. Switch your positions. Put yourself in his shoes. He's got two best friends who happen to be female that he also used to sleep with. Now, one night you come home from work, Sam is hanging out with one of them, and you hear them mention how they had great sex. Exactly. Go on. Please, tell me how you react to this knowledge. Is he unreasonable in terms of Rob? Yeah, the man is married now. Is he unreasonable about John? No, not really. Are these two your only friends, or do you simply hang around with them most out of everyone? This is the thing, I think he's just saying Rob, because if he's gonna have that kind of view with the one, I think he probably feels like he's gonna have to have that view with the other. But yeah, obviously saying, oh no, I don't want you hanging around with Rob. Rob's married, Rob's got kids, you and Rob were together when you were teenagers. Very, very young. But I do get why Sam is just blowing up right now over all of this. And then the OOP says, I mean, I do have other friends, obviously, but we went to school together and we've been friends for almost our entire lives. But I guess I see where he's coming from with John. I just got so caught up in the fact that he was bringing Rob into it too that I couldn't take him seriously. But when you put it like that... And then deleted user then says, it's pretty common though that none of us want our significant others to hang out with former lovers, let alone invite them to our shared living space and then have drinks with them in the evening. Sam's issue isn't the fact that you slept with other people before him, but that you kept these two people in your life so far and continue to involve them in life that you share with Sam. I think you've been around Rob and John far too long that you simply made them a part of your routine life. So Sam's issue with them might seem unreasonable to you when it isn't. The question now is whether you're going to do anything about it. OOP then says, that makes sense. I think some part of me was just hoping that since Sam likes both of the guys and is friends with them too, and we've been together for so long, that wouldn't be a big deal to him. But I understand why it is. At a minimum, I need to stop drinking with John and inviting him over late at night. And then the best comment. Ruffle Lobster says, let's write this from his position. Hey everyone, I am in a bit of a situation with my girlfriend. She has two best friends who hang out all the time. Now normally I'm not jealous, but this situation just keeps throwing up red flags. I will skip the long introduction and get right to the situation currently at hand. I occasionally work late. My job can be demanding and my girlfriend doesn't really like to be home alone. I understand that, and she normally calls over one of her two friends. I always thought it was nice that they found time to hang out because it can be hard to keep friends after marrying. However, I came home last night and before I shut the door I heard a drunken conversation. John stated that his wife was jealous of them and my wife mentioned how they had good sex, but his wife didn't need to worry. Needless to say, I rushed in and tried to figure out what the hell was going on. I questioned them, and apparently they have a past together, which I did not know about. Not only that, but apparently it stopped barely before we got together. Everything about the situation makes me feel like I am not getting the full truth. Why didn't she tell me she had sex with this man who is constantly over? Is this the type of thing they talk about on a normal basis? If she had told me before, I imagine it would have been less of a shock, but I keep thinking that she hid this from me because she knew she was doing something wrong or that I might not like it. I'm pretty furious right now. She could be cheating on me every time he is over and I would have no clue because I have always assumed that she was telling me the whole truth. What do I do? I don't want to throw this away, but I can't help but think that there is something else going on. As for me, I think you f***ed up. You lied by omission and spend time with the person you lied about. Of course he feels like the relationship is tainted. He has had 100% trust in you and your actions, and now he is seeing that for 4 years he is being lied to. It retroactively makes him reassess every single situation where you and John were alone together. At a minimum, you need to scale back for the time being and stop spending so much late night alone time with him. So then we have an update, July 4th, 2016, 14 months later. I know it's over a year later and probably no one remembers this post, but I will never forget it because hearing from all you Redditors changed my life and saved my relationship. So, if there's anyone here who read my last post, you deserve to know that you were right. After reading all the comments on the last post, I realised that Sam was not overreacting at all and would have been more than reasonable to break up with me because of this. I showed him my post and we had a long discussion in which I promised I would never hang out with Rob or John alone again. I told him that I loved him so much and that he was the most important person in my life and I would do anything to gain his trust back, even if he wanted me to stop seeing my friends altogether. He said that wasn't necessary and he didn't mind if I saw them alone occasionally, just he would prefer if it were in public and not late at night or with alcohol involved. He felt sorry for being judgmental of me, but I told him that he was completely right and that my relationship with John was inappropriate. I just needed something like this to make me see it. So we moved past it fairly easy and are actually now married. It was a courthouse wedding on our 5th anniversary. Very lovely. Ah. Now, here's the part where everyone was right. After my conversation with Sam, John and I drifted apart a bit. I still hung out with Rob and his wife, but John broke up with his girlfriend and I no longer felt comfortable being with him alone. So he and I would hang out with Rob, but that happened maybe once or twice a month, where before we would see each other a few times a week. Then, last Thanksgiving, when Sam and I announced that we were getting married, John actually left dinner early. He replied shortly to all my messages, didn't return my calls, and barely spoke to me. I didn't see him again until my wedding in December. You can guess where this is going. Thankfully, nothing happened at the wedding, although that would have made for a great screenplay, as someone in a comment on the last post mentioned. It was a small ceremony, just our families, a couple of Sam's friends, Rob, his wife, and John. We went out to a restaurant for a reception dinner, and John seemed withdrawn the entire time. I guessed he was not happy that I was married, so since Sam and I got back from our honeymoon in January, I have seen John maybe twice, once for Easter and again for Rob's birthday. I've tried to say hi at work, but he always makes excuses and walks away. He didn't even come to Sam's birthday last month. After that, I decided that I would stop trying to reach out to him and he could talk to me when he was ready. Last week, he was finally ready. Sam was offered an opportunity to travel abroad for 8 months with his job, with me invited to come along. We decided to accept it, and I suppose John saw Sam's Facebook post about it because the next day John sought me out at work. He asked me if I was really leaving the country for 8 months, and when I said yes, he asked why I couldn't stay. I asked why he cared if I stayed when we hadn't really spoken in months. He said, "I'm sorry, never mind," and walked away. But at that point, it was clearer than ever what was going on. So, Sam and I are leaving in September. His job will still be waiting for him when he gets back, but I have decided to find a new one. I'm glad that I'll be out of the country for a bit. I feel really stupid to not have realised that John could have feelings for me. There's never been anything there on my end, so I just assumed that it was the same for him since we were able to be roommates and friends with benefits. It seems obvious now. Everyone who commented on my last post was spot on about our relationship not being normal, and I am so glad that Reddit was able to see what I wasn't. I am so deliriously happy in love with my husband, I don't even want to think about what could have happened had I not posted here. So, thank you all again, and I hope this update is in some way satisfying. TLDR, John had feelings for me, God knows how long. I was a dolt for not seeing it. I don't really spend time with him anymore because I'm now married, and I am extremely grateful to this sub for opening my eyes and probably saving my relationship. And then final comments, a deleted user says, "Good for you, OP. And wow, good on the guy who wrote the top comment in that last thread. I think he nailed it. Reddit's a pretty cool place sometimes." And then the OOP says, "You mean the guy who wrote the post from my husband's point of view? Yeah, that one really got to me." And then Tejas Bell says, "It takes a really big person to admit that they're wrong and remedy the situation. Congrats on the wedding." And then the OOP says, "Thank you, you're sweet. He makes me want to be a better person." Apparently Reddit does too. Yeah, I think that's a good ending to that. I can definitely see where Sam was coming from. And yeah, finding out that John had feelings, not surprising. So, down in the comments, Bored German says, "My husband is friends with his ex. She's great and I adore her. But if I heard him reminiscing about their sex life, and she explained that they only stopped living together because they couldn't control themselves to not have sex, I think I wouldn't be able to get over that. It would make me question every time I left them alone in a room, to be honest." Yeah, exactly. And then Udi Kumra says, "Yeah, I like to think I am pretty liberal about these things, but all this was a step too far for me, LOL. Yeah, exactly. That's it, isn't it? It's all a bit too familiar, too close with each other. So, but it all worked out well in the end, so that's good. It's good to read. Okay, I think that's where we're going to leave it for the day. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Coven of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.